Scott Peterson wants his convictions thrown out because of juror misconduct. He alleges that juror number 7, Michele Hagan, committed misconduct. Therefore, he did not get a fair and impartial jury. He's alleging that she withheld some information, basically lied, concealed information that had he known, she would have been excused as a juror. He's basically claiming she's a stealth juror, that she lied to get on the panel. She didn't disclose information, in particular relating to a prior domestic violence case that took place between her and her boyfriend while she was pregnant, and a restraining order that took place between her and her boyfriend's former girlfriend, none of which was disclosed in the written questionnaire in the Peterson case. So again, Scott Peterson is claiming that she concealed, therefore she had a bias against him, therefore she was a stealth juror, and he did not get a fair trial. So I'm going to give you a preview of the witnesses Peterson intends to call at this hearing. It's an evidentiary hearing on February 25th in San Mateo Superior Court. It's like a mini trial. Basically, each side puts on the evidence. The judge listens to the evidence and the testimony of the witnesses, applies the law, and makes a decision. And her decision will determine whether Scott Peterson's convictions get thrown out and he faces a new trial. Hi there, I'm Michele Hagan. I'm a legal analyst and a former prosecutor. You may recognize me. I've been providing legal analysis on the Elizabeth Holmes trial and the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. And so several of you reached out and said, where can we get more of your legal analysis? Well, here you go. Here's the channels for you. I'm going to be providing legal analysis on the Peterson case, as well as other cases as we move along. So let's take a look at the witnesses and the exhibits or the evidence that Peterson will be presenting at the hearing, who he intends to call, and the evidence he intends to put forth to the judge. Yeah, I know, I sound like a lawyer. But anyway, so I'm going to share with you the list of witnesses and the exhibits so we can go through these. And I'll tell you what I think these witnesses are going to be testifying to. Okay, so here's the witness list. The first witness Peterson intends to call is juror number 7, Laci Peterson. Juror number 7 is Michele Hagan regarding the killings of Laci Peterson and Connor Peterson. So juror number 7, Michele Hagan, she filled out a written questionnaire, and that's regarding the information she may or may not have concealed. So they're going to talk to her about the domestic violence incident, the restraining order, all which took place just 13 months or a year prior, so 2 years prior to this case, which she did not disclose allegedly she didn't disclose it on the juror questionnaire. Then we're going to hear from a couple of custodians here. These are 4 custodians. Custodians, you can see custodians of records regarding East Palo Alto Police Department, so that would be a police record. That relates to the underlying domestic violence incident that she didn't disclose back in 2001 that Michele Hagan had with her boyfriend while she was pregnant. He pled to one of the batteries. So they're going to bring in a custodian to say that these are accurate records. Whether or not they have any of the police records, I don't think they do because they've probably been purged. So the custodian will probably tell us that they don't have those records. Number 3 witness would be another custodian. This is from San Mateo Superior Court. And that witness will tell us about, I've got to check my notes here. That'll tell us about the vandalism case. I believe it's the vandalism case. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's the Superior Court records. Does the court have any records regarding the domestic violence case? Any court records to show regarding the boyfriend entering a no contest plea regarding 1 count of battery? Does the court have any of that? We'll probably find out that they don't because the records are so old, of 2001. The next custodian is going to come in with Mountain View Police Department. That's somebody from the Mountain View Police Department who's going to testify that they do or don't have records relating to the 2000 case, the vandalism case, relating to a woman by the name of Marcella Kinsey. She was the prior girlfriend of juror number 7's boyfriend. I know, stay with me. Anyway, she showed up at Rochelle's house, juror number 7's house, allegedly kicked in the door and slashed, can I speak? Slashed the tires of the boyfriend, which resulted in the vandalism case. I think the custodian may say that we don't have those records as the case is too old. Again, it's back to 2000. The next custodian from Santa Clara Superior Court, again, that's somebody coming in from the court saying whether or not the court has any records relating to the vandalism or the restraining order that Rochelle Neese subsequently got with this regarding the ex-girlfriend. And they're probably going to say that they do or don't have those records. I don't know. We're going to find that out. The next custodian is from the San Mateo District Attorney. So somebody from the San Mateo DA's office is going to tell us whether or not they have any records relating to the restraining order, the vandalism case, the DV case, or anything else that relates to Rochelle Neese and her ability to be impartial regarding Scott Peterson. All right, so let's get to the individual witnesses. Steve Cardosi, he was the foreman or the foreperson in the trial, Scott Peterson's trial. So he's probably going to tell us regarding statements that Rochelle Neese made to him that relate to her bias or not having a bias. Justin Faulkner, he was one of the jurors, but he was excused because he apparently had a conversation with one of Laci Peterson's family members. He may testify to statements that Rochelle Neese made that may be relevant to her bias or not bias towards Scott Peterson. Greg Bertalis, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing people's names. He was also a juror in the Peterson case. He was juror number 1. He also co-authored the book that several of these jurors wrote called We the Jury. He may testify to statements that Rochelle Neese made to him, which may be relevant towards her bias or not bias towards Scott Peterson. Mark Geragos. He was the lead defense attorney in the Peterson case. He's probably going to tell us that had he known this information, had Rochelle Neese disclosed the prior domestic violence, the restraining order, that he probably would have excused her, that he would have excused her, I think is what he said. He would have excused her to serve as a juror in the Peterson case. Shireen Anderson, she is a producer was a producer with A&E. They did a documentary on the trial. She may tell us what Rochelle Neese said that may relate to whether Rochelle Neese had a bias or not against Scott Peterson. Heath Orchard, he's a producer. He put together a documentary called Trial by Fury. It's a 2016 documentary regarding the Peterson case. He probably interviewed Rochelle Neese also. He may tell us whether or not she made any statements relevant to her bias or not bias towards Scott Peterson. Frank Swertlow, he was a juror in the Peterson case. He's probably going to tell us whether or not she made any of those statements. He also co-authored the book with Rochelle Neese and the other jurors. Lyndon Stambler, and again, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name. He was a reporter with People magazine who followed the case. He helped co-author the book with the jurors. He's going to tell us whether or not Rochelle Neese made any statements that are relevant to her bias or not. Johnny Dodd, he's also a reporter with People magazine. Again, he's going to tell us whether or not Rochelle Neese made any statements relevant to her bias or not having a bias. Larry Gibbs, otherwise known as Lawrence Gibbs, he's an appellate attorney for Scott Peterson. He's also the one that got the declaration from Rochelle Neese. The declaration I'll talk to you about in another video. The declaration is her explanation of what happened. You know, she misunderstood the juror questionnaire, why she didn't put the information down. That declaration, I'll go through that so we can see what Rochelle Neese says happened. All right. I also want to let you know that this is not a complete list because the Peterson has reserved the right to call additional witnesses and also to call witnesses on rebuttal. So I'll let you see the rest of this. They reserve the right to call any witnesses, additional witnesses for rebuttal or otherwise. So we're going to see how this hearing plays out. Again, it's up to the judge to decide whether or not, based on the evidence and the testimony that she has heard, and the law, whether or not that amounts to prejudicial misconduct that violated Scott Peterson's right to a fair and impartial jury. So that's her decision to make. And again, I just wanted to give you a preview of the witnesses that Peterson intends to call. And we'll see how it plays out because it all depends on what the evidence is. So I hope you enjoyed my preview of what's to come. And please like, subscribe, and share. Actually, hold that thought. I wanted to show you. Sorry about this. Let me show you one other thing here. This is his exhibit list. I think that's important. Yeah, let's do a quick run at this. This is the exhibits, or otherwise known as the evidence, that Peterson also intends to present at the hearing, and I think this is important to go over this really quick. So he's going to present We the Jury. That is the jury. That's the book that the jury put together called We the Jury. And in there will probably be some statements that Rochelle Neese made that may go towards her bias or not having a bias. There's also letters from juror number 7 to Scott Peterson. She wrote Scott Peterson 17 letters after the verdict, several of which those letters Scott Peterson intends to present to show that she had a bias against him. I mean, it's quite unusual for a juror to be contacting a defendant after the trial. So those jurors may show that she had a bias against him, maybe not. That's assuming that they're relevant, and that's assuming that the judge let those letters in as evidence. Okay, we're also going to look at juror questionnaire number 7. We're going to see the written questionnaire that she filled out, specifically relating to those particular questions. It's question number 54 and question number 74, which specifically say, have you ever been involved in a lawsuit? Yes or no? If yes, were you a plaintiff, defendant, or both? Question number 72, have you ever participated in a trial as a party, witness, or interested observer? Yes or no? Question number 74, have you or any family member or close friends ever been a victim of a crime or a witness to any crime? She answered no to those questions. And we later learned that she had been involved in a domestic violence case, restraining order, etc. Okay, so that juror questionnaire is going to come in. Whatever her answers were, we're going to take a look at that. Well, it'll likely come in. Let me put it that way. The judge decides whether or not the evidence is admissible. Okay, voir dire of juror number 7. Those are the oral questions, the questions that these attorneys asked of juror number 7. And that specifically relates to the conversation between her and Mark Geragos regarding her financial hardship. Okay, so we'll talk about that later too. Exhibit number 5 relates to the San Mateo case involving the lawsuit regarding Marcella Kinsey. That relates to the restraining order that Rochelle Neese got against Kinsey, who was the former girlfriend of her boyfriend. Exhibit number 7 is the police department, East Palo Alto's police department, RIMS return. That's a computer-generated document. That probably relates to the vandalism case. I don't know. We're going to find out. Exhibit number 7, People versus Eddie Whiteside. Eddie Whiteside is Rochelle Neese's ex-boyfriend. He's also the one that was the defendant in the domestic violence case against her. So this is going to relate to the domestic violence case, exhibit number 7. Exhibit number 8 is the criminal case summary. That relates to, again, the domestic violence case involving Rochelle Neese as the victim with her boyfriend, Eddie Whiteside. Exhibit number 9 relates to People versus Marcella Kinsey. This is the criminal complaint. This relates to the vandalism. This is probably the case involving the slashing of Rochelle Niece's boyfriend's tires. That would be Eddie Whiteside's tires. And then the last exhibit is People Magazine. This is the interview that Johnny Dodd did with Rochelle Niece back in 2006, and it relates to the letters that she wrote to Scott Peterson. And again, that interview with People Magazine may be relevant to show that she had a bias against Scott Peterson or not. And again, this is up to the judge to decide whether any of these exhibits or evidence comes in the evidentiary hearing. So that's the preview. Thank you very much for listening and watching. Please like and subscribe. I can't talk. Please like and subscribe and share this video so we all get prepared for the hearing coming up on February 25th to figure out, the judge is going to have to figure out and decide whether or not Scott Peterson gets a new trial and whether or not these convictions will get thrown out because of juror number 7. So stay tuned. Thank you very much for watching.